Hello and welcome to Talking F1. We're a podcast from GP Grandstand that does more or less what that title says. We talk F1. More specifically, we talk Formula All. That means Formula 1, Formula 2, Formula 3 and the W Series. We're going for a slightly different format this week again, where we're talking about Formula 1, the W Series and Formula 3 separately. So be sure to check out the rest of the GP Grandstand YouTube channel to hear us talking about W Series and Formula 1. I'm your host, Jim Kimberley, and joining me to talk about Formula 3 in Hungary, I've got the Drive Tribe Supreme Chancellor of F1, F2 and F3, Timo Albers-Daly. Hello, Timo, how are you?
Morning, Jim. How are you, Sue? Not too bad, thanks.
Yeah, I'm doing well. And I've got Jacob Phillips here as ever to talk about his favourite formula. How are you doing, Jacob?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Jim, and always happy to be talking about Formula 3. You guys know me.
Yes, so you're a massive Formula 3 fan. And what best treat to get for a Formula 3 fan than a Formula 3 driver? So I'm delighted to say, joining us as well, is Formula 3 driver Reshad de Gerus. Thank you for joining us, Reshad. How are you?
Thank you very much. All good for me. Thank you.
Yeah, very, very good days for you as well. A French driver, seeing a Frenchman in a French team win a race. How was Hungary for you? Did you enjoy all the post-race Formula 1 celebrations? And we'll talk about your Formula 3 in a moment.
Yeah. So that was a very good weekend for the French guy in Hungary. So a win for Alpine and for Esteban Ocon. So that was magic. So yeah, I think all the French people are very proud of this. And for me, it was quite a difficult weekend. It was good, but I'm a rookie in this category, so I learned a lot from everything. For the moment, I struggled a bit in qualifying to find the limit of the car and the tires. It's very difficult, to have the tires in a good window and to do just one lap to just go for it. After that's the main issue for me from the start of the season. But after that, I did some very solid races, always move forward and gain some position. So I'm happy with my job in races. Just need to focus a bit more in qualifying.
Well, we saw last year, Reshad, what happens to drivers if they don't ever have retirements. And unless I'm mistaken, you have finished every single race so far this season. Dennis Hauger last year, he didn't score many points. I think he got 2 points at the Hungarian race, which was rain affected. Look at him now. So you're going in the right footsteps. So let's talk Dennis Hauger, guys. Championship. He's got one hand on the trophy, Timo, at this point, surely. He's looking so solid in another win in the feature race this time round. How did you view his weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly like you say, one hand on the trophy, more or less. I'd describe it as his championship to lose at this point. I was looking at the standings beforehand, just before we started recording, and it's like all placed from like second to sixth down are all fairly close together, but the gap then from second to first is ridiculous. And he had a good weekend. The win obviously never hurts, and he did consistently in race one. I think he did all right in race two as well. So he's making the most out of everything, and then absolutely just barnstorming it when the feature race comes and collecting all the big points. So just magical stuff. Yeah,
big haul of points for him as well. Yeah, and we saw his teammate this time, Jacob, too. Arthur Leclerc, of course, brother of Charles, grabbing pole position. He's had a bit of a struggly season thus far, but he didn't manage to grab the win in the end. His teammate got rid of that chance. But how did you view Leclerc's weekend as well? He seemed to be a little bit better, getting pole position and then staying up there in race 3.
Yeah, he's not had a good season so far, but I said in the preview that I wrote a few days ago before the weekend that he needed a better weekend, and I'd say that was a better weekend. Obviously, he got pole position. I was quite surprised by that. He's had a bit of bad luck. His qualifying hasn't been the best this season. He's always sort of been towards the back of the grid, and we know in Formula 3, if you're towards the back of the grid, it kind of sets you up for a really, really bad weekend given how the format works. But it was a better weekend. He got, I think it's only his third points finish though, so he needs to do better on that front. But I think he made a couple of solid overtakes there in race one. I think round the outside of the last turn, which we saw in W Series as well, which is always quite nice and quite rare at the Hungaroring. And yeah, it was a good battle in the wet there. Some nice driving there from Arthur, but I think Dennis Hauger just had his number, and yeah, maybe next season we'll see Arthur sort of come through and maybe make strides toward the championship. But yeah, it was a decent enough weekend for Arthur there.
Yeah, we do see those drivers enjoy their second season a little bit more. So Arthur, of course, coming in as a rookie, Hauger in his second season. Reshad, you are a rookie coming in. Is Formula 3 everything you hoped it would be? DRS, what's it like playing with that? I bet that was exciting the first time as well. And how are your teammates? They're experienced. They've got another season in the sport. How are they helping you throughout your first season?
So yeah, that is so important for me to have teammates like Logan and Enzo. So Logan is his third season in F3, and Enzo his second. So yeah, it's helped me a lot to learn about tires management in races, and especially in qualifying to put the tire in the right window to start a lap. And it's helpful for the team too to improve. The last 2 seasons, Charouz didn't have any points, and yeah, in Hungaroring they had the first podium for the team, so that was very good. So the team worked hard, and yeah, we improved very well because of the drivers and the engineers. So that's really good, and for me, it's helped me a lot. So now I have everything in my hand to do it well. I just need to focus on my qualifying, like I said, to start in a better position, and after that I know that in races I can do the job to move forward, and I have a very decent pace in race, so I just need to improve in qualifying.
Yeah, the moving forwards doesn't seem to be a problem that you're having at all, is it, so far this season, and keeping out of trouble? We saw one with your teammate Logan, and he ended up getting elevated to the podium, which was great for Charouz. But race 1, a little bit of drama with that, with getting Colombo losing a win. Jacob is shaking his head for the benefit of anybody listening on the podcast instead. I'm guessing from your point of view, Reshad, it might have been a bit more beneficial for Charouz, so you're happy to move up those positions. But how do you view, as a race driver, the decisions from the stewards to impact the result of the race, especially the race winner, after the race is finished? It's, for us fans, it's frustrating. How do you see it?
Yeah, for sure. For the driver, it's always frustrating, but I don't know exactly what happened. But I think he did a mistake during the safety car procedure. But yeah, it's a shame because he deserved it. Campos deserved it, and yeah, it's not like a racing incident. It's very a decision from the steward because of the safety car procedure. So yeah, it's a shame for Colombo.
Yeah. Jacob, I'm going to have to let you go in, and probably you as well, Timo, both chomping at the bit. But Jacob, why don't you tell us what you thought about race 1 having the victory taken away post-race?
We always speak about it, don't we, Jim? You know, those pesky stewards. And for me, it takes the excitement away from the race. You know, you want the race to be decided on track and when the podium happens. And when you find out via Twitter or even on the chat when one of you guys puts a message in saying, oh, by the way, Campos have had a win strip, it really, really ruins the fun and enjoyment of the race. And it's such a shame, really. You know, Colombo, who hasn't scored any points, and Campos as well, I don't think scored any points before this race. It was a shock victory, much like Alpine in the F1. And it was just a really nice feel-good story as well, obviously losing Adrian Campos last year. And they're such a good team. They've always been a staple in junior formulas. They, brought many drivers through, and it was just really, really, sorry to use this word again, Jim, but it's just really, really to be honest. And it's never really good, is it? And one thing I was speaking to Timo actually, over the weekend, was one thing I'd be in favour of doing is perhaps maybe, I don't know what you guys think about it as well, but maybe delaying the podium ceremony by 10 minutes just so we get to celebrate the true winner. But it's just a shame, and it's kind of a slam dunk penalty. It's a bit of a crap rule, but I think we saw Sebastian Vettel a few years ago get penalised as well. So it's one of those whereby is the driver at fault? I don't know. It's always hard, isn't it, when the safety car comes out? Maybe he hasn't got much experience behind the safety car. Don't forget, he's never really led a race before. So, but it's one of those. He's got to take it on the chin. It's just a shame that the stewards sort of ruined what was a really good feel good story there.
Yeah, it was a bit frustrating. Ayumu Iwasa ends up inheriting the win, not the way you'd like to take his victory. And Timo, your thoughts on this? I think we've spoken about it before with some results getting mentioned or getting changed after the race is finished. How did you see it?
Yeah, I mean, like Jacob said, it was quite frustrating. But it's always frustrating whenever the stewards mess with something like that after the race. I mean, we get annoyed normally when it's not even podium positions, so it's even worse when it is then. But I think as well the extra sting if it would a team like Prema and they'd been stripped of the win, I don't know if we would mind as much necessarily. But because all the teams involved, you've got Campos there, they really deserved it. But then you've got Charouz getting the points, and you're kind of really happy about that as well. And then Iwasa getting the win because he's been doing all right this season and getting better. And he's like, it's all kind of, there's no good outcome there in a sense because you've got to sacrifice something to get it. And it's frustrating that it's all the teams that you want to see doing well. And as soon as one of them does, then it gets sacrificed. And you're just kind of trying to find that balancing act and you're not sure if it's where to feel about it. But it was kind of, it takes away from the race because Colombo driving in the race, aside from that one little mistake, you wouldn't think that would be worthy of taking the win away from him. So it's frustrating, but
yeah,
we're not stewards yet, so we can't change it.
No, we're not stewards. We can talk F all, but we're not stewards as they make their decisions. Let's talk about something more positive, and maybe again on your side, Reshad, that we got an authentic no race post-race penalties affecting this one in race 2 with your teammate Fittipaldi starting from the front, having a big battle with Nannini, and then grabbing a podium. Is this forward momentum for Charouz something that you've seen starting to gain momentum or grow throughout this season so far? Are you thinking that this was stuff that was deserved, or did you think that just Hungary is helping your teammates and your team perform?
I think from the start of the season, we built something very strong. After there was just in Austria where we have a bit of lack of performance. After we succeed to doing well in Hungaroring, so that was great. I'm very happy for Enzo because he deserves it. He's such a nice guy and he deserves it very well. I think the team did a very good job here in Hungaroring. I think the track helped us a lot because it was a track where there is just a lot of high-speed corner and we are very fast and strong in high-speed corner. So that was great for us. I think we can do better for sure, and we can improve. We will work very hard until the end of the year to improve that, and especially in qualifying to qualifying in a better position because Logan, I think his best qualifying was P8 or P7, so it's not very very good. We know that he can do a lot more better. So we need to work for sure, but the team is on a good direction.
Good direction indeed. And this last race that we had, as the rain affected and safety car was out for a good portion of that race. How difficult was it to race in the rain at Hungary? And we saw how quick you were going onto the dry tires on a drying track at your home race. So were you tempted to repeat that and nab a fastest lap as well?
So at the start on the grid, I asked if we can go on slick tires. But it started to rain again when we were on the grid. So we decided to go on slick like everyone. And at the start, it was very complicated. At the back, I can't see nothing. It was it was quite difficult as a few first laps. After it was starting to drying very, very quickly. And at the end, it was absolutely dry, but it was not possible to put the slick. There was a safety car at the end, so not the same that in Paul Ricard.
Yeah, it was nuts at Paul Ricard. We really enjoyed that. How was it driving that? It must have been like when you play one of the Formula One Codemasters PlayStation games and just turning the difficulty down to like 10% or something. Was that what it was like for you, just overtaking cars and they had no answer?
So in Paul Ricard, it was absolutely crazy. So to very to be clear, I had a puncture. So we decided to box, and and we decided to put the slick tires. And I don't know. I was so far, and I succeeded to come back. Yeah, he told me, my engineer told me that I was the fastest car on track by 7 seconds faster. I was, wow, that's amazing. And if there was a safety car, maybe I can fight for a win, you know. So yeah, that was difficult, but it was amazing.
Well, and was that a benefit of just knowing the track as well? Because your home race, you must have been really excited to be there and having some fans back. I think the first time this season there, we saw some fans there. Is it just great to be driving there faster and seeing those French fans going crazy to see you set some fast laps? That must have been quite an experience.
Yeah, that was amazing. It was the first time in 2 years that I had some fans, so that was very good. And yeah, it was an amazing race for me.
Yeah, very, very impressive. We remember speaking about it. It was a lot of fun. And let's go back onto some of the racing that we saw this time out. Matteo Nannini, we mentioned there he nicked the win from Reshad's teammates, but credit where credit's due. He seems to be really, really aggressive on that start. It was really great to watch, and then finally getting the overtake done, fully deserving of the win. I'd say a really, really good result.
Yeah, I mean, I'm noticing a pattern. Whenever I'm overly harsh on this podcast, the driver in question then does better the following week. So maybe I just need to do that for everyone. And yeah, no, like fair play to him. He went out there, did the job, and fought hard for it, and got the win. And it's the kind of thing we were kind of hoping to see from him a little bit sooner. So maybe we'll see, maybe not another win quite so soon, but we might see some more consistent and solid results from him moving forward, because we've seen what he can do when he knows that there's some good points in a win on offer now. And yeah, it'd be great to see more of him in future, get his elbows out a bit more. We always love the close racing in Formula 3, and we always get that one way or the other. So if we can get another driver into the mix for that, then bring it on.
Bring it on indeed. And the championship we mentioned as kind of tilted. Well, I think it's tilted from race one almost, but it definitely looks like Hauger is going to be lifting the trophy, maybe even before the final race, which would be quite the achievement. But those behind him seem to have middling fortune. So we saw Vesti retire with an engine issue, I think it was in race one. Victor Martins had a completely awful weekend, Jacob, with issue after issue, and Caldwell as well with an issue, crashing, taking his front wing off, and seemed to be, he got the podium where it mattered, but seemed to be sliding back in the second race as well, just seemed to lose tires. What are we thinking of these drivers who are looking to chase Hauger, who are essentially in a race for second place at this point? Who's standing out for you this time, Jacob?
It's kind of very much similar to sort of how the F1 was this weekend. Obviously, the top two scored points, but those in the race for the third place didn't score anything. It's kind of the same this weekend. You know, we didn't really have sort of many clues about who's going to sort of get that second place. But there's it's going to come down to, like we say all the time, Jim, on this podcast, about consistency, and also, as much as I hate to say it, reliability as well. It's such a shame, isn't it? You know, these drivers put so much money, so much time, so much effort, and it seems to be like a reoccurring problem with Formula 3 and Formula 2. I remember it a lot of the time last year as well. You know, cars just pulling over the side of the track. We saw Johnny Edgar as well, although he's not in that sort of battle up there at the top. We saw him pull over as well when he was fighting for a victory. So it's always very, very sad. But you know, you've got to think that with a Prema behind him, perhaps Caldwell with a bit of consistency as well will come through. Vesti, we know, is a very capable driver. He's got Mercedes backing as well. He's always got a win in him. So, and Doohan actually had a poorer weekend than I thought he would. You know, he's in a very much capable car. He's a capable driver. But I think that one driver I was quite surprised about who's not quite in that fight was Schumacher, who just seemed to have the better of him all weekend. And we've been a little bit, not critical, I'd say, of Schumacher, but I didn't really expect much from him this year. I think he had a win in Austria, didn't he? But he really, really impressed me this weekend, although he's not in that fight. But if I was going to put my neck on the line, I'd probably say Caldwell. I think Leclerc, even though he's in a Prema, I think it's just too far back. But we never know. It's Formula 3.
It is Formula 3. Very hit and miss for Leclerc all season, and Caldwell's been a bit more consistent with it. So yeah, it's difficult to say. Prema certainly the team to beat once again. And Schumacher, yeah, I think you're trying to be generous there. I think I've been his biggest critic so far, and yeah, not particularly impressive in some races this year. I think Barcelona excluding, but he did slip back quite a bit then as well. But I saw an article stating that he just felt like getting that win has completely changed things, and he follows up with 3-point scoring races in this round in Hungary. So great to see, I thought. Timo, who are you thinking is going to be looking at that second place, presumably, unless Hauger ends up with DNFing the remaining rounds? Who do you think is going to be there up at the top?
Well, I just want to throw a little spanner in the works of Jacob's thing there, because, you know, I like to do that occasionally. But I think the other two drivers that I think would be you can't rule out just yet are Smolja and Novalak, because they kind of fly under the radar a lot. They don't do badly, but I think their issue is that they don't. I think both of them have been podium this year. I think Smolja even won a race earlier on.
Spain, I think.
Remember, it's been such a long season. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if they're doing it enough consistently. I think that's unfortunately the word we're having to use again. Hauger is the only one who is consistently doing everything he needs to do, whereas from second to like 8th or 9th on the championship standings, they're doing some of it, but not being able to do it all the time. But I think Smolja and Novalak, they're not too far behind on points. I think there's only about 12 points or something separating second and sixth. So I can't rule them out just yet for that one. So I'm going to put my money on one of those two.
Yeah, it's a really close battle this time round. Really exciting stuff. So yeah, Formula 3, Hauger accepted, who just seems to be, as I say again, in a class of one at the top. Yeah, delivering the goods. Now we know, and Reshad, maybe you can have a little bit of background on this, that certain teams rise to the top in Formula 3, and we have certain teams who sometimes stay at the bottom despite having these same car setups. So Logan has come in and has joined Charouz, and like you said, he's got that experience. How important is that sort of experience for you as a rookie and for the team as a whole to draw on some of the insight he can give, because he'll be wanting to go forwards as well? He'll be presumably taking some of the tips and tricks that he's learned at his other teams into Charouz.
Yeah. So after, for sure, when you drive, when you are a driver, you don't know every setup of the team, but Logan knows the feeling of a fast car, because he drove for Prema last year. So yeah, he can help the team to go in a certain direction. After it's the work of the engineer to find the thing to go in this direction. After, yeah, you can see that it's always the same. Prema, it's always on the top, because it's the best team of the field. After there is Trident and ART very strong this year, all the past year too. And after there is some teams like High-Tech, Charouz, HWA. It's more like the middle and the back of the field. So yeah, it's very important to be in the good team, to do it well. Like you can see, last year Hauger was I think with High-Tech, and he just have two points, something like this. And this year he's with Prema, and he will win the title. So yeah.
Will win the title. That was the expression I heard there. So insider knowledge that Hauger will win the title, and if he doesn't, I'm going to come for you, Reshad. But we saw you last year. You were competing in Eurocup, and that was with Ardennes, of course, Christian Horner affiliated team. And these driver academies, they seem to be almost key for getting that F1 seat at the moment. Was that something that was discussed with you? As I know how involved Christian is with Ardennes day-to-day running. And are you looking at something for next year or the future to try and move into a different team? And it's very early to say, but like, how do these things happen? How early are you and your manager trying to reach out and look for different opportunities to progress your career?
So yeah, there is some discussion with some people. And for sure, I think if you want to go in Formula One, you have to be with a junior filiere. So yeah, there is some discussion after you have to do the job on the track. For the moment, I need to improve. Fight for a top 15 can be great for me, and after that, I can see for next year if I have the opportunity to go in a better team and maybe in a junior program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's quite a story regardless of what you do. So just a bit about your background then. So I understand you're from Reunion, or La Reunion, an island in the Indian Ocean, and exotic, and somewhere that's very much on my bucket list. It's not really, and unless you're going to tell me another driver I'm unaware of, it's not really a place where I would go looking to find the next single-seater talent. So how did all that come about? Did you move to mainland France when you were young? Tell us a bit about your story.
Yeah, for sure, there is not a lot of drive on Reunion Island. So I'm the first F3 driver from Reunion Island. So yeah, that's amazing for me. It's very fun for me. I started karting when I was 5 years old because my father did some rally car in Reunion Island. After that, I started to come in France to do some races. And yeah, I enjoyed a lot. It was very fun for me. And at the moment, I think when I was 10 or 12 years old, I really say, well, yeah, I want to be a Formula One driver and to be world champion. And with my father, we decided to do more races. When I was 14 years old, I finished second in French championship in karting, and I decided to just go in Le Mans in the FFSA Academy to continue my career. The year after I did the French Formula 4, I finished second in the junior category behind Théo Pourchaire. And the year after I finished second in general. So that was very, very good for me. And for now, my goal is to be in Formula One and to be the first Reunionese to do it. So yeah, that's my main goal for now.
I always fully support you in that as well. And what, are you back in Reunion quite a lot? Is it a place you visit, or are you now based fully on mainland Europe?
Yeah, I'm based in Le Mans since I have 14 years old. So I live alone here. And now tomorrow I go to Reunion for holidays. So that's great for me. Have a bit of sun because it's not very sunny here in Le Mans. Like always, but yeah, it is what it is.
I'll have to hit you up when I finally get the chance to go out there. It looks like a spectacular place. I'm really jealous of you having that sort of upbringing. Let's just finish on some of the other Hungarian highlights then. So Wassa scoring that first win of his, and Timo, it's like I say, not the way he wanted to win a race. Red Bull back driver, kind of coming in a little bit unknown. I didn't know much about him, and I don't really think a lot of people knew that much about him apart from his F3 Asia exploits. So how are you viewing his season so far? And were you surprised to see him so far up the running order in race one?
I was quite surprised to see him up there, to be honest, because I mean, he's not had a bad season per se. He's had a decent, I think it was France as well, he impressed me, and I think he did all right there, if I'm remembering correctly. With some overtakes around the back half of the course, I think actually that was what he was impressing me most there, because wet, it was just everyone, for the most part, apart from Reshad, who was just taking everybody, was just kind of daring and going around outside and overtaking people where no one else was daring to. So I was quite impressed with that. So, whilst obviously not the way he wants to win his first race, I think it would only be a matter of time. And as for being a Red Bull Junior driver, it's a blessing and a curse, that one, because they're all decent to an extent. It's just it makes it even more difficult for them to try and progress up through the ranks a bit more. Then, so maybe Helmut's looking at him and thinking, well, if Yuki doesn't work out in a couple of years and he's still not there, then at least we've got another Japanese driver to try and do two birds with one stone there.
But will they need to without that Honda backing? So that's another, I've got, because it's Honda Formula G.
I might attract another Japanese car company to come and help them out with some things. You never know.
Jacob, you're shaking your head there. What's your thoughts with this? The Red Bull Junior team, you said before, was one of the weakest lineups you've seen. Is Iwasa part of the problem?
Oh, I was just shaking my head there because I think, once Honda pull out, I don't think that we're going to maybe have the desire from Red Bull, or certainly there's not going to be someone pressing for a Japanese driver. That's it. I think, Tsunoda's a good talent, but maybe he's there with the Honda pressure. But Iwasa, it can't hurt as a Red Bull back driver. It can't hurt winning a race, and certainly that will catch Helmut Marko's attention. But like you said, Jim, I wasn't too aware of him coming into the season, but it certainly can't hurt. And it's just a shame that he never got to celebrate on the top step of that podium. But if he gets a few more of those this season, then who knows? But like you say, there's a lot of competition there. I'd say it's the worst of the driver academies, like we argued a couple of months ago. But Dennis Hauger, that might be an option there for them. Who knows? I said to team over the weekend, if he impresses in Formula 2 next year, AlphaTauri 2023, who knows?
Yeah, it'd be very difficult to ignore if he wins Formula 2, if he presumably progresses up the ranks. Let's just finish, I guess, with some of the other French. We've got French driver joining us now. We've got French Victor. What is it feeling like right now in France and the papers? I know what a big deal it was when Gasly won the race last year. Now we've got Ocon in, and there just seems to be quite a French resurgence of motorsport, yourself included. You must be thinking you're riding the cusp of a wave in France with Alpine. You've got, like you mentioned before, Porsche looking like a really hot prospect as well. And now we've got Ocon and Gasly, both race winners. Victor Martin's in here, Novalak. There's so much going right for your country at the moment. You must be very excited.
Yeah, there is a lot of French driver, very, very strong. Gasly already win, and Ocon in F1. There is still Porsche now. I think today he tested in Formula 1, in a Formula 1 car, so it's very amazing. In F3 we are three French drivers. So it's very good for the French motorsport to have this, and Alpine, the comeback of Alpine helps the country a lot in this sport. So it's very exciting for the future.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And of course, friend of the show, Pierre-Louis Chauvet, unfortunately not racing in Formula 3 on a full-time basis, at least made some appearances, and very much impressing in F3 Asia too. And actually, what's another question we can follow with that? Chauvet mentioned that he didn't have the best of seasons last year, and Hauger joined the team and helped a lot, and his performance really improved. Plus, in F3 Asia, he had a new engineer, and he said that made all the difference. How important is an engineer and your teammates for yourself as a driver improving, Reshad?
Yeah, for sure. All the team, I would say all the team is very important to have a good atmosphere. First of all, a good atmosphere inside the team. And after, we need to have to share everything. I know that for example, last year with my team, with Arden, no one shares the data and everything, so it was difficult to improve. This year it's not the case, so that's really good. After years, you have to be with the right people. It's the case for me this year. So I'm happy with that. I'm happy with the team, with the job that we did, and we need to continue in this way for the next of the year.
Some interesting comments about Arden there, who you'd imagine you want to help your teammates. So they're very interesting to know. It's seemingly working well for Charouz this year. Now, at this point in the show, Reshad, and you do not have to join this because they're your peers, we talk about the top 3 drivers and the bottom 3 drivers of the weekend. So I'm not going to ask you to say who you thought had a poor weekend. So you might just need to nod along and shake your head as we go through this. Cover your ears, yeah. But yeah, let's go through the top 3 drivers. And I imagine there'll be a driver that seems to always pop up. But Timo, talk us through your top 3 drivers from the Hungary round of F3.
Would one of those drivers be Dennis Hauger by any chance?
It might well be.
He's on my list anyway, so we'll find out in a minute if he's on yours. But yeah, as we've said before in the podcast, just doing everything right, and it's his championship to lose at this point. So don't think he will, but got to say it. Lorenzo Colombo then for me, because despite what the stewards say, I'm still going to give him full credit for that race, and he deserved that win. And then for me, Clement Novalak, I think I mentioned him a bit earlier, just flying under the radar. We don't talk about him or much, so I was tossing a coin between the two of them. He's 6th in the championship and a decent chance of getting 2nd place, and it's his 2nd season in Formula 3, so he's looking all right, and I think he could potentially get up into F2 next year if he moves up a few more places. So shout out to him.
Shout out to him as well. Yeah, that's not a bad shout at all. And Jacob, your top 3?
Sorry, guys, for everyone listening, but things are going to get slightly boring here. Dennis Hauger is making it very, very easy for all of us here on the podcast, without saying any more. He's my top driver there. He's my driver of the weekend. I'm also going to have to follow Timo by saying Colombo. Although, despite what the stewards say, he had a fantastic race there. He looked racy. You didn't really expect to see a canvas up there. He looked calm. He looked composed. And yeah, he's certainly my winner of race 1. And thirdly, I'm going to choose a driver I mentioned earlier on the podcast, David Schumacher. He looked racy. He looked on it. He looked hungry. He certainly looks a new driver than he was at the start of the season. So yeah, why not stick a Schumacher in there?
Why not stick a Schumacher? No, he looked very, very impressive. He's not made my top 3, but I'd give a little bit of a shout out to him. For my 3, and actually I didn't go down the Hauger route because it's just too obvious. So I thought I'd have to change tact a little bit. And I was pretty certain one of you two, if not both of you, as it was both of you, would shout him out. But I mean, the guy got 3 podiums last time out. He only got 1 this time. What's he playing at? He's just letting the team down. But no, in all seriousness, I've got Colombo as well, my winner for race 1. Also Fittipaldi, that 2nd place, looking very, very just quick in general. Good to see him up there. And Smolja was my one. We mentioned Novalak, but Smolja just consistent.
Getting points. Coin went the other way there, so we can balance that out then.
Yeah, it just seemed to be, like you say, flying under the radar. He didn't get any silverware this time round, but he's 6th place, 4th place, 6th place, and that's the sort of consistency, the key word. Have another shot, everybody playing at home, for the consistency drinking game. That he showed that just to show how consistent that he is. So yeah, 3-point scoring finish is always impressive. And let me just go with my bottom 3. I'll start with this one. Sad to say, but Victor Martins, but I don't think anybody, including himself, would be able to disagree with that. It was a really messy weekend with him stalling on the grid, poor qualifying, crashing, and just, we know how good he can be. And that really just a disappointing weekend that he'll be quick to forget. So disappointing from him. Also got Frederick Vesti up there. I know he had the issue with the engine I think it's the engine at least, that caught him out in race 1, but just didn't seem to have the pace, quite slow in race 2. And I do think that Vesti's another potential future talent, so another weekend to forget. So I'm looking at the top and thinking he didn't really do all that well. And then, yeah, the scary crash, we didn't even mention it, that with Ido Cohen, that Villagomez triggered, that was potentially, I mean, I don't know if the halo, I've not seen a replay on the board, but the halo could have potentially saved a life again this weekend in race 3. And Villagomez triggered that, and also saw, funny enough, Reshad, when I was looking a bit more into it, that he pushed you a little bit off the road and got a 5-second penalty. You don't have to say anything to do accusing, but just another bit of a messy weekend for Rafa Villagomez. So that's my bottom 3. Timo, talk us through yours.
I think you've been looking at my list, Jim. You've got 2 of my 3.
Try my best.
in Victor Martins then and Frederick Vesti. I mean, Martins is kind of reminding me a bit of Schwartzman in F2 last year. First half of the season, pretty good, and then second half of the season, just kind of dropping off a bit. Hopefully that's not going to be the pattern that he follows, but this weekend was not a good indicator of that. So we'll see how that goes. And then Vesti, as we've said before, there. And third for me, not surprisingly, it's the stewards.
The stewards, of course, yes. They've made the list of the bottom three once again. I don't blame you. I was thinking of it myself as well, but yeah, the stewards were pretty frustrating once again. And Jacob, why don't you round it off with your bottom three?
I think we've all been thinking the same sort of things here, because I have one of the drivers, not two, but Victor Martins. Just he was sort of up there, wasn't he, in the standings? And it's certainly not the weekend he wanted. I think 3 non-points finishes. He just looked messy, as you said, Jim, still there, so not a good weekend for him and for his team. Actually, I'm going to say Kai Collette as well. Just really bad weekend for MP Motorsport there. And the third driver I'm going to pick is Laszlo Toff. He had a retirement in race 3 and certainly not the home race he wanted in Budapest.
No, quite disappointing, especially for Alpine, especially when you look at how the Formula One drivers did. I think we said before, guys, didn't we, about how it's going to be very difficult for a driver to make it through. So Piastri, Guan Yu Zhou trying to knock on the door, and then you've got Ocon and Alonso racing the race that we expect him to do, his talent, just in a car that we didn't expect him to. So some great stuff. Reshad, I'm not going to ask you for any top 3 or bottom 3 drivers, but you said Hauger's going to win the championship. Are any other drivers that maybe are going under the radar, like we mentioned? There must be so much you're seeing at the back of the back fields, the back markers that are racing in these rookie championship, I guess, of sorts, that just doesn't get televised, and frustrating for us because I'd love to see it and you making up those places. Do you watch the races back at all, or do you just forget about it once it's done?
No, yeah, for sure. I always look back the races. It's very important for me. After in this championship, the level is very high and it's very tight. So yeah. For me, for now, when I said Hungary is on the right way to win the championship. After there is, I think, five guys or maybe 6 who can fight for the top 2. So I think it will be very, very, very tight until the end of the year.
Yeah, it's looking like another great championship in F3. So very exciting stuff. Now, Reshad, thank you so much for joining us on Talking F1 this time. We're going to go out with our little outro to find where people can find other people's work. But Reshad, I guess Instagram is where people can catch up on you, and you've got a website of reshaddegerus.com. Is that right?
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
All perfect. And the Instagram handle is Reshad_D_Gerus, and I'll put that in the show notes and in the description below if you're watching on YouTube. Timo, where can people find your work on the internet?
You can find me here on GP Grandstand, of course, and over on Drive Tribe on Instagram, and you can search for On the Curbs on YouTube to see my interview series with various people from the world of motorsport.
On the Curbs and in the Grandstand. How about that? And Jacob, how about yourself? Where can people find your motorsport thoughts?
Yeah, as always, you can find me here on GP Grandstand and over on Twitter at JacobPhil18. And I'm going to hibernate now for the next 4 weeks until my beloved Formula 3 returns.
Big hibernation, yes. The frustrating summer break. Every year it comes around and every year it disappoints. But for myself, you can find my writing on gpgrandstand.com and fortlock.com. And for my satire F1 news, search the F1 week that was on YouTube. And of course, I'm on the Grand Prix Grandstand TV YouTube channel, where you'll find me talking F1 and interviewing drivers and personalities. Thank you for watching us talk about F1. Keep your eyes peeled for the next episode, where you can watch us talking F1 all over again.